Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're jumping into one of the most unsettling real cases I've covered lately. This isn't your average murder story. It's about how trauma, drugs, and buried darkness can completely twist someone into something else entirely. Grab a drink, get comfy. But heads up, this one's pretty graphic and heavy, so viewer discretion is advised. Oh, and if you're new here or just passing by, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We drop fresh true crime breakdowns regularly, and your support really keeps the channel going. Thanks so much for being here. Let's get into it. Alright, let's start right in the courtroom. Green Bay, Wisconsin, February 2023. The woman on the defense side is Taylor. She's facing charges of first-degree intentional homicide. The prosecutor is laying it all out for the jury. Calm, methodical, no emotion. He describes exactly what she did. During an intimate encounter with her ex-boyfriend Sean, she wrapped a dog chain around his neck and pulled until he couldn't breathe anymore. Then she took knives and dismembered his body. As he's talking, they bring up the evidence one piece at a time. Crime scene photos from the basement flash on the screen, the soaked mattress, the bloody plastic bags, the knives still stained, and finally the severed head in the bucket. And through every single detail, every photo, every description, Taylor just sits there, smiling. It's not a nervous tick. It's not a forced grin trying to hide guilt. It's this calm, almost satisfied little smile that never wavers. It stays on her face the whole time, like she's quietly pleased with something only she knows. You can feel the temperature in the room drop. Jurors shift in their seats. The victim's family stares in disbelief. Even the judge glances over. That smile isn't just unsettling, it's chilling, because it tells you this woman isn't broken by what she did. She's okay with it. Then we get to February 14th, 2023, Valentine's Day, of all days. Her defense lawyer stands up and asks the judge for a 2-week delay to gather more psych evidence. Judge nods, says, "Okay." Right in that moment, Taylor shoots up from her chair and lunges straight at her own lawyer. She's screaming, clawing, thrashing around like a wild animal. Bailiffs rush in fast, grab her, pin her down. She's still fighting, still trying to get at him. Think about it. The one person literally there to defend her, and she wants to tear him apart. How much darkness has to be inside someone to turn on the person trying to save them? To really get how this all happened, we have to step back to February 2022. Taylor was 25 at the time. She was married, but her husband Warren was already locked up in prison on drug charges. So she was basically on her own, living alone, dealing with her depression meds and sinking deeper into a pretty dark place day by day. On the evening of February 21st, she borrows her roommate's car. She picks up her ex-boyfriend Sean and a couple of friends. They head back to her apartment and turn it into a full-on drug party. Meth, alcohol, mixing in her prescription pills for depression and mood stuff. The whole thing goes from around 9 p.m. all the way to midnight. Music, talking, getting high, the usual chaos. Eventually the friends leave. The place quiets down. Now it's just Taylor and Sean. That's where things start to shift. No more group energy to keep everything light. Just the two of them, wired from the drugs and booze, judgment completely gone, and whatever was left of boundaries just evaporating. After the party, Taylor and Sean head to his mum's house and go down to the basement. His parents are divorced. Mum lives with her boyfriend. They think the couple just wants some quiet time and leave them alone. All day February 22nd, no sound from downstairs. Family assumes they're sleeping it off. But silence isn't always safe. Sometimes it's the quiet right before everything goes to hell. Down there, while the house is calm, an irreversible tragedy is already unfolding. February 23rd, around 2 a.m. A soft click, the front door closing quietly, snaps Sean's mum awake. She hears the car engine turn over, then tires rolling away into the night. Still half asleep, she rubs her eyes and heads downstairs. The basement light is on, doors half open, no one around. She figures the couple must have slipped out without saying goodbye. Sighs, walks over to flip the switch off. But just a few steps in, a smell hits her. Faint, metallic, like rust mixed with something wrong. It makes her stomach twist. At the bottom of the stairs there's a bucket, just sitting there. A towel thrown over it casually, completely out of place. Why is a bucket here? Why is the light on if no one's around? Her heart starts pounding. Fingers shaking, she reaches out and slowly lifts the towel. Underneath, dark red liquid sloshing gently, and floating in it, her son's severed head, eyes open, staring up at nothing. She ran upstairs, shaking her boyfriend awake, struggling to explain what she had seen. He didn't believe her at first, but when he went downstairs and looked into the bucket, he froze. He couldn't accept that it was a human head. Panicked, he called the police. Just after 3 a.m., officers arrived and entered the basement. The air was thick with a foul smell. When they lifted a towel, even the experienced officer turned pale. It was the head of a young person. The search revealed more horror. Blood-stained bedding and floors, plastic bags with dismembered remains, knives in a blue bin, one blade broken, remains stuffed in a travel bag, and a small bag of meth nearby. All signs pointed to Taylor. At 5:11 a.m., police surrounded Taylor's apartment. The moment the door opened, officers were stunned. Her hoodie was stained dark red, her hands covered in cuts. Yet her face was calm, almost detached, as if nothing had happened the night before. In a borrowed car parked outside, officers found remains that hadn't been disposed of. The same sickening smell filled the vehicle. How could she appear so cold? How could a life mean so little to her? The answer, investigators believed, was buried deep in a past marked by trauma and decline. Taylor was born in Chicago in 1997. Her childhood took a devastating turn in 2009 when her mother died suddenly from alcohol-related liver failure. She was not yet 12. There was no goodbye. The loss shattered her world and left her drowning in loneliness. Soon after, her father remarried. In the new household, she felt ignored and distant. Over time, she became withdrawn, emotionally unstable, and increasingly volatile. At 13, Taylor began psychiatric treatment and was prescribed mood stabilizers, antidepressants, and antipsychotics, remaining on medication until she was 18. Instead of stabilizing her life, she grew dependent. She skipped school, got into fights, and was eventually expelled. In 2016, while working at a cheese factory, she met Warren. Many believed marriage might change her life. Instead, it pulled her deeper into chaos. Warren was involved in drug dealing. What began as curiosity soon turned into addiction. Just 4 months into the marriage, police were called over complaints of harassment. When officers arrived, Taylor was confrontational and erratic, even questioning whether they were from outer space. 2 months later, she led police on a high-speed chase. Drugs were found in the car. She was later placed on electronic monitoring. In November 2020, Warren was arrested after police found 46 grams of methamphetamine in his vehicle, an amount consistent with distribution. He was sentenced to 3 years in prison. Around that time, Taylor learned she was pregnant. She hoped the child would be her turning point, but addiction had already taken hold and the darkness never really left. In the interrogation room, the lights were harsh, but Taylor remained calm, almost too calm. She described that night in a flat voice. Drugs had heightened everything. Sean handed her a dog leash and asked her to wear it during sex. At some point, she pulled it tight around his neck. She saw his face turn purple. She saw him struggle. She didn't stop. She kept pulling until he stopped breathing. What followed shocked even investigators. She admitted to violating his body, then went upstairs for knives and began dismembering him in the basement. Exhausted and still high, she said she even fell asleep during the process, waking up and continuing. Some remains were loaded into a borrowed car, others were left behind. When asked why she didn't finish, she replied, "I was tired, I didn't feel like it." The case quickly drew national attention. Multiple mental health experts evaluated her. The defense argued she was mentally unstable, delaying the trial into 2023. In a chaotic moment before trial, she even attacked her own defense attorney in court. On July 24, 2023, the trial began. Evidence was overwhelming: crime scene photos, the knives, drugs, and her recorded confession. After just 30 minutes of deliberation, the jury found her guilty of first-degree intentional homicide, sexual assault, and mutilating a corpse. The defense cited childhood trauma, mental illness, and addiction, but the jury ruled she understood her actions and was fully responsible. On September 6, 2023, she was sentenced to life in prison without parole. This case had no demons or curses. What makes it disturbing is that it was real. It shows how drugs can destroy judgment and humanity, and how untreated trauma can grow quietly over time. We like to think tragedies are rare or only happen in movies, but sometimes they unfold in ordinary places behind closed doors inside people we think we understand. The scariest part isn't the setting, it's how unpredictable the human mind can be. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.